Okay, hello everyone and welcome to episode 6 of the FE Hit. This week is Stand Up Awareness Week, and for those of you watching rather than listening, you might realise from the rainbow background that this puts the spotlight on issues of equality, diversity and inclusion. Shortly I'm going to be joined by Rachel Hurley from BeLonGTo. First though, some information for this time of the year. So the Crawford College of Art and Design, which is linked to MTU, that has an open day coming up online. It's on the 25th of November. You need to register for that. So just have a look at the link below if you're interested in signing up for that. Second thing, just around progression to higher education, that might be for some of you an automatic plan, and for others of you who are just contemplating an application. If you're in that sort of thinking about it group, I'm going to be running a session in the next few weeks called Progression Sessions, and that'll just might be of interest to you if you're thinking about all the things about going on to higher education. You might be interested in signing up to those. And finally, just to say, reality does bite, and at a time of talking to you now, there's a real chance, I suppose, that there might be more time that we have to spend studying remotely or online or in a blended capacity. It mightn't come to be, but if it does, just be ready, be prepared, make sure you've got your Moodle passwords, your materials that you need, and you've got the skills and you've access to all the things that you need if you are studying more online. Okay, so that's just a bit of news for this week. So time to turn to my guest. Thank you, Rachel, for being so patient with me there. But you're very welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you very much.
So there's lots of things to talk about today, but maybe I introduced you there as representing BeLonGTo, and this being Stand Up Awareness Week. So do you want to just talk to us about what BeLonGTo is and tell us a little bit about Stand Up Awareness Week?
Yeah, so BeLonGTo is a registered charity in the Republic of Ireland, so it's not operating in 6 counties, but basically it focuses on supporting young LGBT, so that'll be lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, young people aged generally 15 to 23, kind of like integration, so like through youth work, working with schools and youth reaches, as well as research and I suppose kind of like trying to influence like the dominant culture. So BeLonGTo runs kind of works in collaboration with YouWork Ireland to run like a series of kind of youth groups all over the country. So like our one in Cork now is in association with like Cloyne Diocesan Youth Services, and it's for young people aged 15 to 23, and it's just a safe space for people to kind of be able to come together and to gather and discuss concerns. But what I would be kind of the capacity that I would be present in myself would be delivering workshops to the young people. So ultimately, it's kind of up to what they are interested in learning about. So like this week, we're doing contraception and STIs. Last week, we did consent and sexual well-being. It's kind of a variety of different things. But I suppose in terms of Stand Up Awareness Week, it's about highlighting the difficulties that may be faced by young LGBT people in school. So about 1 in 5 LGBT people say that they have faced bullying in school. And the way we kind of look at school and how that can be like a safe environment for children who don't have a safe environment at home, that's really disheartening to hear. And especially considering that Stand Up Awareness Week is like an annual event, and every year, like I suppose like a resource pack is sent out to every second level school and every youth reach in the Republic of Ireland, and to kind of then be interacting with young LGBT people who say we weren't allowed to talk about like being gay in school, or we weren't allowed to bring these things up, or we were never taught this and I didn't understand what was going on, is really concerning, because it's kind of like, well, the resources are there and that it is a matter of will. So I suppose what we're seeing is kind of a lack of integration. And so Stand Up Awareness Week is kind of about highlighting like how we can kind of aim to reduce this, and that maybe if people up top won't do it for us, that we can do it for each other.
Yeah, I think you sort of hit the nail on the head there, that despite there being tremendous progress, I suppose, in recent times, in terms of the longer historical view of things, recent times has been progress for LGBT rights, but there's still the need for campaigns like this, and there's still the need for us to tackle the ongoing challenges. So like you're talking about things that are happening in schools and the youth groups are running. What about individually? And you talk about making spaces safe. What sort of actions can we take to sort of turn a space, or to make sure that spaces are safe?
I think one thing, and it's particularly important in education, is kind of ensuring that like relevant education is made inclusive. Because I suppose in terms of like sex education, and that would be what I talk to the group about sometimes when we're doing workshops. What I always ask at the start of the workshop is, what kind of sex ed did you get in school and how much it was relevant to you? And the answer is usually none and none, right? So it's that everyone's getting pretty poor sex ed, but that in particular, young LGBT people are completely being left out of the conversation. And so that's kind of creating issues in terms of like sexual health and well-being. Like obviously, if you've never been talked to about an STI or why you might be at higher risk for one, you are more likely to get an STI, and then you're going to be embarrassed and you're going to be ashamed because you were taught that was your fault because you weren't taught about it probably at all. So I suppose the main thing we can do is kind of ensure that we are including everyone in these really, really important discussions about our actual well-being. And a second thing, I suppose, is to kind of make zero tolerance spaces. And it would be the same with any kind of issue like racism or like violence against women and girls. And it's just being able to say that you will not feel comfortable being homophobic or being transphobic in my company. And I think making that kind of space it's something that I suppose takes a lot of self-confidence, and that people can struggle with that a lot. But ultimately it's about saying, if you do this near me, it won't be a comfortable experience for you. It will affect our friendship or our relationship, and I won't be tolerated.
Yeah, I think just listening to what you're saying, that a lot of people these days would in their own head say, yeah, I'm an ally, I won't tolerate that. But I think the title of the week is bang on in terms of it's not enough these days. You now need to stand up and take an action on that. And it's okay. It's one thing to be uncomfortable and not happy with something that someone else says, but the next step is that do something about it. Speak up, stand up. So I think that's a really important message. So there's more information about the actions that people can take, the resources. The resources are available on the websites. Rachel, is that correct?
Yeah, so you can go to belongto.org and you can just go to like on the homepage. It's all about Stand Up Awareness Week, so you'll find it there straight away. Great.
So that's in the link below. So if anyone wants to follow up with that, I'd encourage you to click that. So thanks, Rachel. We could keep talking, but like I said, there's heaps of resources on the website. Go and check out those activities. And there are activities happening in colleges as well. There's societies today in the College of Commerce. There's a Rainbow Society event taking place. So these things are growing, and it'd be great to get out and support those. Okay, just to hold a traditional end to these chats, I'm going to ask you though, Rachel, to field 3 quick questions there. So if you're ready for those, question number 1, I'm going to ask you, what's your favourite film?
Gone Girl.
Gone Girl, very good. Your second question is, best place that you've ever visited?
Probably Kolkata in India.
Okay, yeah, very good. And then the last question is, what's the best piece of advice that you were ever given?
Always accept help from people that are willing to give it, but ultimately your well-being is your responsibility.
Very sound. Very good. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of another episode. Rachel, thanks very much for your time. Really appreciated the chat. Thank you all for listening. Remember, you can follow the podcast on YouTube, listen to it on Podbean. That's all for now. Oh, wait. Okay, that's not quite all for now. I am actually delighted to welcome for the first ever time a second guest to our podcast. So today I am introducing you to Sean Vail, who is the student representative in the Cork College of Commerce. Sean is an activist for LGBTQI+ rights, and he's also the chairperson of the newly formed Rainbow Society in the College of Commerce. So great to see you, Sean.
Good morning, James. How are you this morning?
Great, thanks very much. I introduced you there as the rep from the Rainbow Society. That's a new society in the College of Commerce. Will you tell us what the Rainbow Society is?
It's the first ever society for LGBTQI+ students that has happened in Cork College of Commerce. So I'm really proud. The staff and myself have worked diligently in setting something up for the students. And yesterday was the launch. We had a really nice turnout and some really, really positive feedback.
Brilliant. And for those students who are in the LGBTQI+ community, how can they get involved in that?
Well, at the moment, because we're just setting it up, and you know, as I came to the college in September, I you know, put it out there. Look, there isn't anything, you know, there's no society going, you know, let's do something. And we just so happened to choose the time that coincided with the week's events. So this society is set up, by the way, it's called the Rainbow Society, and we set it up for LGBTQI plus students and those that support them, because I think it's very, very important for people to bring in that self-chosen family and their support group. I think that's very, very important. And
it's a term I used yesterday, but it's like, for people who want to be allies of friends or be part of that community or part of the, or support their friends and family in that sense, what's the best way to go about being an ally?
The best thing that I can suggest, James, for people who want to become an ally to the LGBTQI plus community is to seek out information and to get as much education about the differerences and the similarities in culture, from heteronormal to the LGBTQI plus. We encourage the diversity and the inclusiveness in groups. I mean, I've been a gay rights and human rights activist since the late 70s, early 80s. And the thing that we fought for was that inclusivity, so that we all participated in something. We don't want to form groups now that, you know, are excluding individuals. It's about that inclusivity. So like I said, it's about education. It's about interjecting when you hear misinformation. It's about interjecting and saying, no, I'd like to, you know, add this to that. That is not correct. It's bravery, but there's quite a bit happening as far as championship programs in the country. We're really moving forward. We're starting education programs, qualified courses, all the way from the beginning, all the way at leaving cert level, all the way up through QQI 5 and 6, to educate doctors, nurses, lawyers, all about that. So that it's really opening up. Society is starting to change in that respect.
Brilliant, brilliant. And like you said, there has been tremendous change over a period of decades in terms of progress and equality, but there's still that distance to go. And it's important that we continue with the actions, you know, and that we move now, and that people stand up and speak out and correct, and like say, misinformation and correct people when things are wrong. So what you can do is, if you're listening to this now and saying, well, what can I do? I'm the supporter of this cause, then it's about informing yourself, educating yourself, and not staying quiet if you see the opportunity to speak out.
Absolutely, absolutely, James. And you know, one of the points that myself and my personal ethos is to create that visibility. It's about visibility. It's about being out there, people seeing that, you know, there isn't anything wrong with anybody in the LGBTQI plus community. You know, that we're all human beings. We're all experiencing this life on different levels. But you know, sometimes it's just about flooding the community with information. And I think that's what's happening now. You know, there's lots of information out there. My grandniece, anytime she sees information, she always picks up 2 or 3 extra pamphlets and, you know, just hands them out to people randomly. And that's her contribution to visibility and to be an ally.
That's her action. That's brilliant. So, Sean, if people want more information, I can stick some relevant links in underneath the links to the podcast today. So I'll direct people to that. And best of luck with the Rainbow Society and the College of Com. I'm sure we're going to be hearing more from you and from the Society over the next number of months and years to come. So Thanks very much for your time today, and thank you guys for listening. As always, you can catch up with the podcast on YouTube or on Podbean. Remember to check your emails, stay safe, and I will see you next week. Thanks very much.